So that 90 helped me start the business. And then that 90 turned into 300. Then my next big project, million rand. So we up.
Crazy.
We up. And the thing I took the most out of that is just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Like build it and they will come. Because a lot of people didn't believe.
Yeah.
My muscles were up.
Yeah,
now I've done
I'm in the
I've
been
done
in the
a
gym.
whole bunch of things. Homecoming. I built up a real rap sheet of really cool experiences, and Teely, really appreciated that.
I hope you guys are writing this down.
Don't evade text, please.
No, not to evade text, but sorry to pause that. Are you speaking to anyone about how you should be using your money? Do you have financial literacy? How do you know not to blow the money?
I was like,
damn it.
You literally said every other agency's name.
Yeah, but
except for mine. So that's a problem.
Because a lot of founders fall into that trap. They want to be, I started this thing. You weren't there when we were broke. How did you not fall into that trap?
Because in our world, shit gets real.
Yeah.
It gets hard. It gets tough.
Yeah.
It gets irritating. And if you have assholes in the business, then now the office is just sucky.
It messes up that system.
It's not nice.
Yeah.
I heard that Duma in Russian means something. I was like, Duma, okay. Then I looked it up. It's like, no, Duma, Zulu, famous. Duma, is Zulu, yeah, Duma. Okay, loud. Famous, loud, Duma. Hi man, we make brands famous.
We might as well.
Stepped on collectors. Okay. Duma Collective.
Very special announcement. The Dead Store is finally open. So we're open from Tuesday till Sunday from 10 a.m. and we're located in Rosebank on 138 Smuts. So pull up to the store and get your dead pieces.
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini, and today, it's another special guest. I'm gonna let her intro herself and then we're gonna get into her life story, and you know how we do. Get those jewels for you guys to use in your everyday lives. So yeah, let's go.
Hey Dead Radio family, this is Sibu Mabena. I am the founder and Chief Creative Communications Officer at Duma Collective. And yeah, what I do for a living is cool shit.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's our thing. We do cool shit and get paid for it.
Okay. How are you today?
I'm lovely. It's been a long day.
It's been a long,
hard day of work.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm favored.
I love that. Okay, let's start your story from the beginning.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Where are you born?
Wow. So born and bred in Joburg. I was born at Cheryl Matweke. To two parents who had just returned from exile. So my name is Sibu because they got back and then I was born shortly after. And they were in exile for a couple of years as a result of being banned. So my dad is an MK veteran. My mom worked in the communications office, and so the two of them then had me. And I was raised in a really politically conscious home, but one that was also quite encouraging of my creative abilities. So I did dancing as a extramural activity, and then the dancing thing kind of put me into spaces that I today can say I'm able to work and make money from, because it's all of the stuff that I love to do: communications, creative, performance direction, eventing, social media, etc. So yeah, born and bred in Joburg, moved to Pretoria at some point, moved back to Joburg. Now I'm in Joburg, so
Gauteng,
I'm a
basically.
Gauteng girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about Sibu, the young girl.
Oh.
What type of kid were you?
Oh, geez. Respectful.
Okay.
I was a respectful child. I was very inquisitive. Always asking questions, always wanting to know more than I was being told, I guess. I also was exposed to hard work at a very young age. My mom was working, my older sister was working, my older brother was working, my dad was working. Everyone was just working, everyone around me. So I'd always be doing something. Like at some point in my life, my dad owned a gun shop. And I'd go there. Okay, but school.
Makes sense. He was in exile.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
He knows how to use a gun, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'd go there after school, and my sister would put me to work because she was running the shop. Or my dad would take me to meetings with him, and that's what exposed me to boardrooms and what that looks like. At some point, he owned a security company, so I'd be going to work with him there and go and see what that life is like. So I've always been around a working environment, and that's what kept me busy. And then with the dancing and school, I guess I'd always be hardworking, performing, doing really fun artistic things, but I was quite competitive as well. I didn't like to lose. And I think it was also because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get the things that I love taken away from me because I wasn't performing academically. So it was always a balancing act, and I never wanted to be the kid that gets shouted at for doing something wrong. So I don't know how to package that into describing how I was as a young girl.
Hardworking, competitive, creative.
And
respectful.
Yes.
Above everything.
Above all, yes.
Okay. So when does the dancing thing, like how does that even happen? Was that something that you loved at home and then you obviously found the channel of it at school? Or was this something that you found at school and you're like, hey, this seems interesting?
I think our generation, so I was born in 91. And we were around 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6 when Boom Shaga was the craze. Bashante and Bongo Muffin and all of that. So, we were all of those kids when there's people at home and they're like,
dance!
That was a jiver! That was us.
Your black parents love that.
And we had towels around our heads. Easy there, But my mom saw that, there's something here. And when I was put into school, so in creche, I did ballet. And then got into primary school and I did tap, ballet, and modern. And then I changed schools and they had dancing, so I continued there. But that's actually where things changed for me when I was at Springvale in Centurion. And I found friends who danced for the South African hip hop dance team. And I got in with them at the dance studio that they were at, which is an Etimnende's dancing school. And that really flipped the switch for me because now I was dancing competitively. And we got to travel overseas to go compete there. And just get exposed to the world of You Got Served and So You Think You Can Dance and all of these really cool dance culture type shows. And then one thing led to another, and then I found myself in the repertoires and I was dancing on the streets, and then I was working for Masters of Rhythm, and then Masters of Rhythm I'm working with brands, and then from brands it's now an agency.
I want to double click and open that folder, right? The dance one. What do you think it is about dance communities because a lot of people within the industry actually came from some form of a dance community. But what is it about the dance community that allows people from whatever background you come from to feel accepted? What is the thing about the dance community? It's really amazing, and I've just always wondered where does that come from? What is it about dancing and the community that it builds?
I think it's the fact that we're all so expressive. We use dancing to express whatever message we're trying to get out there. To the people who generally perform are quite confident. Because it's really difficult for you to go out to a stage and put yourself out there if you don't have that confidence. 3, it could be that we're all just looking for someone else like us, right? So that naturally builds community, and we all have this thing that we're chasing, whether it is the ability to have a platform to perform on, or it's a competition, or we just want to express ourselves. But there's that common thing that brings us together, which is the love of dance, and what it enables you to do and what it exposes you to. So like I say, the first time, the second time I got to travel outside of this country was because of dancing. And then the many times after that. And it was with white kids, Indian kids, colored kids. You know, you get to Europe and you're seeing people from Poland loving the same music as you and dancing to it, and that's what brings us together, even though we don't speak the same language, or we don't look the same, or we
but
don't
you guys
come from
do
the same
speak
place.
the same language.
You speak the same dance language,
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So I think that's what it is, and you know, you come back home and you're seeing people rehearsing, like with the repertoires. We were rehearsing right in front of Mary Fitzgerald Square. So it's not in an air-conditioned environment with wooden flooring and mirrors. It was just the streets. And because we loved what we were doing, we did it anyway. And the hustle was just about taking what we think was great, or what we thought was great, and putting it out there and recruiting more people and building a fan base. And look, I mean, the Reps ended up having a TV show.
They were huge.
An entire Running with the Reps reality show off of this thing called dance. And from there, they went off to go do other cool things. And then you look at Clinch, and Clinch was the one that was behind Masters of Rhythm. And we had this huge event, 8,000 kids, all converging on the Standard Bank Arena.
Community.
To come and experience hip-hop together. And that's what dance was able to do. That was the power of dance. If you look at what's happening now with Amapiano and all these kids that are just finding something to keep them busy and express themselves outside of the schoolwork that they're doing, outside of the problems that they face at home, there's something about dancing that just creates escapism, and it becomes this other world that you're able to immerse yourself into. And it creates all sorts of other like emotional and psychological benefits. Teaches you discipline if you are in a dance troupe and you've got to go to rehearsal. You know, you've got to be at practice, you've got to eat well, you've got to do this and that. So those are the other benefits that I think are attached to the dancing sport. And I really wish we could get that community back, get that culture back, get those competitions going again, get those events going, because there really was something there, man.
And you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
Damn, like I get it from that perspective. So why, as someone who traveled the world, basically, got that passport stamped couple of times,
3 passports,
why didn't you view that as a long-term career? Or did you view that as a long-term career? Because obviously you're in high school, you're doing this thing that's bringing success, however you want to measure that. Why didn't you want to pursue that past high school?
So, you know, I think that there are certain insecurities that kicked in. Especially observing the environment in which I was in, which is highly competitive. Like, there was some serious dancers. Snare, Bonde, like Taryn, serious people. And I was encouraged by a colleague to just take a step back and redirect my efforts, maybe. I think it was a nice way of him saying, hey, you don't fit in, that's
not sure
that's
about
us,
this.
not so much you. But, you know, I'm so grateful to him for opening my eyes to the behind the scenes world of it. To say, okay, you may not be the best on stage, but try this behind the scenes thing and see how far that takes you. At some point, my eyes were opened to the opportunities behind the scenes. And at the time, it really made sense to step into a role where I could be of influence in the community and not necessarily stay on stage, you know, because also there were some like really hectic dancers who were doing really well. And, you know, when you put me up against them,
it's a bit shaky.
It's shaky.
Shaky.
But I didn't really take that to be something that would deter me from being in the space, but rather redirect my efforts into being in the boardrooms, into being in spaces where I could influence corporates to see hip-hop dancing as something that could be a medium to get to an audience. So one of the big things we got to do with Jay Kayembe, who's just like such an awesome creative, he was part of Clinch, who then did Masters of Rhythm, and I worked under them, and then he called me on to come and help him build choreo creatives. And under that, we were able to do something for Flying Fish, Fish Eagle, sorry, not Flying Fish. Fish Eagle with Pro Kid, and we did a whole dance competition thing, and it was really, really dope and really well organized. And that then gave us an opportunity to work for Miller, where we did the Miller Kendrick Lamar 3-city tour.
Oh, okay.
That's how we got to work on the Kendrick story. And then, you know, with that, we were able to just showcase to SAB that there's this thing that exists in the streets and it can exist in your world of corporates. And if you just work with us, you know, we can make it great. And that opened up other doors. We started working on the MTV-based Africa Music Awards as like choreographers and creative directors. And then we got to work on the SAFTAs, and we got to work on the SAMAs, and we did a job in Nigeria for the GloCAF Awards, and this was all through an agency called VWV, which is a really great production company. And then we got to do stuff for Casper Light. So J. Cole.
Okay, J. Cole.
So Kendrick and J. Cole.
Okay.
Woo. So we got to do work on the J. Cole concert. And you know, it's that being behind the scenes actually worked out for me. When I hung up my sneakers, you know, my dancing shoes, and I picked up my laptop and I started being in a position to create opportunities for dancers to get paid to do cool shit on stage.
Basically serving the community from a different perspective.
Yes.
I want to ask you something quickly. So I watched this podcast. It's called Living L'Chaim, right? And
what a good name.
Yeah, it's ran by these two Jewish gentlemen, right? And they talk about money, relationships, or whatever, through the lens of being a Jewish person, right? So they had a rabbi on there, and the rabbi was basically talking about how they understand that there's a law that God has set, right? That involves serving people, right? And in serving people, your reward then is monetary value. That's the basic reward, right? Now, you sound like you're someone who figured that out. Maybe not consciously, but when did you figure out that in serving people, I will be rewarded?
I don't think I figured it out. It's just something I grew up around. I look at my mom. She's always been about people. She really cares for people. I mean, when I was in varsity, she would ask me if I don't have any friends who aren't from South Africa that need a place to go for Christmas. I'm just like, what? I'm gonna go around school inviting people from other countries to come home. I don't know them. And she's like, yes, that's what, do that, because that's how they were, helped by other countries when South Africa had banned them. And it's like, okay, fine. My father had 3,000 employees at some point, and he was always so good to them, so kind to them, so empathetic. And he was working with security guards. It's people who are always wanting something, and he always had the time for them. So you see that, you grow up around that. My sister, who's just one of the most generous people, she always has money and then doesn't have money because she's been giving so much, and then she has money again. So that kind of thing where you're like, oh man, helping people actually isn't taking away from you. Somewhere, somehow it comes back. My brother's a teacher. He's been a teacher my entire life. Like, he started teaching in 1991. I was born in 1991. To this day, he's a teacher at the same school.
Yo, shout out to your brother.
Yeah, my goodness. I say to him all the time, dude, like, what you're doing, I really hope the universe rewards you in some way, shape, or form, because he does so much for those kids. I even go onto Twitter, I'll post a picture of my brother and someone will be like, hey, yo, that was my teacher.
Crazy.
So that kind of thing is like, that's the family I grew up in, right?
Okay.
And it hasn't been a conscious thing of do A, you'll get B. Do C, you'll get D. It's just that when you're good to people, somehow that goodness comes back to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's monetarily, whether it's in resources when I need them and they appear, whether it's in someone putting me on for a job, whether it's in us winning a pitch, whether it's in us magically receiving a building from a client. You know, there's all these strange things that I know
serendipitous.
could only be an act of God, and I've built up my reserve through my actions.
Okay, I love that.
Oh, you got deep real quick.
I just wanted to tap into that because you're talking about serving your community and how that opened doors for yourself.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that podcast. Whatever lens you want to look at it, it always does come back to you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out if you were actually super conscious of, because a lot of people aren't conscious of this law that exists.
I will tell you though, what I am very sure of is that you've got to treat God's people well.
Yeah.
Right? That when you've been entrusted with the responsibility, yours is to really take care of that mission and treat it with respect, because these are God's people that you're working with. These are God's people that you're contributing to their journeys of life, and how they experience life is as a result of what you contribute to that. And I don't want my contribution to be negative. I don't want someone to walk around this universe or this earth and remember me and think of me as someone just, that girl, she this, you know? And I mean, sometimes I can help, and sometimes it's out of my control how a person perceives or receives me. But as far as I'm able to, mine is to just treat God's people well as far as possible, so that their experience of life is a little bit better, because I've at least done something good for them or to them.
Okay. So now a seed has been planted in your mind, the behind the scenes seed, right? And obviously it's growing day by day, right? Because you're working behind the scenes, you're helping all these dance competitions, these dance crews evolve and elevate. When does that end for you? When do you remove yourself from the dance world, and what's going on in your life at that time?
Oh wow, I don't think I've ever fully removed myself. Because the dancing thing turned into creative direction.
Okay.
Where we were now conceptualizing how an artist's performance would manifest on a stage in the context of the awards, right?
Okay.
And then the choreographers, so being a snare, a bontle, any of them would then come and bring that direction to life in the form of choreography. But then we're working with a lighting director to say, oh, this is the kind of lighting we see for this performance. And the person doing the graphics, this is how we see it on screens. You know, that kind of contribution to an overall performance. And then that manifests into other things, because I became a bartender at the Sands whilst I was studying politics at school. So I was doing a lot of things. I was doing this choreography thing, the creative direction thing, I was doing the bartending thing, and doing social media for the bar, which was the Sands. And then that became the Twitter Armies thing. Okay. And then that became a marketing thing, because now I'm working with a lot of brand managers in the space coming to the Sands as a venue. Then you've got event promoters who are throwing events at the Sands. So someone like Tili, who manages Casper, Dimples, who had Pop Bottles at the time, Sibs, who had Good Sunday, and Benny Maverick. All these cool people that I was interacting with and being useful to for the promotion of their events. That became one avenue. The choreography thing was happening. That's one avenue. School is happening. That's another avenue. And it just all morphed into freelancing, freelancing into a high-level freelancing operation, and then into an agency, and today 49 people.
Okay.
So I can't tell you when what stopped and what started. It really just became a culmination of all of my talents and all of my abilities and all of my networks all together, and me finding ways to make money from all of that, and then bringing other people along for the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's double click and open the folder of you working at the Sands, right? Because
one of the greatest times of my life.
Okay, like how did that even happen? And I believe that led to you finding your way into the Philip Dome situation, right?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Why did you go and work at the Sands? Like, what was that just because you're a student and you wanted extra money, or
something like that? So
intuitively you were like, I could use this to create an even bigger network?
You know, I didn't realize it until I was inside that that's what I was doing. But I was at the University of Pretoria, 2010 first year, 2011 my second year. So towards the end of my second year, my stepmom passed away, and she had just had my little sister who was 11 months at the time. So my dad was like, "Hey yo, I'm gonna need some help.
Make it happen.
Come home."
Yeah.
So he brings me back home to Joburg, and there I am living with my dad and my little sister and my little brother, and then my older sister, was helping us out. But in an effort to stay young and like
vibrant outside.
And not like be a mom overnight. I had some friends who were working at the Sands as DJs.
Okay.
So I'd go out with them, and I think after the third or the fourth time I was there, I was just like, something strange here. These ones are making money. I'm not.
Yeah, just chilling there. No.
So I at the owner, Alan, and I said, "Hey, dude, can I work here? Can I do something?" He was like, "Okay, what would you do?" And I said, "I'll be a bartender." He said, "Yeah, we pay 200 Rand a shift, but go ahead." And I said, "Well, I'm here anyway.
I might as well."
And that's how I became a bartender at the Sands, because of my friends Sizwe and Dice, who were DJs.
Okay.
And now the bartending thing, social media was still coming up. It was like MySpace, BBM, those were still the major platforms. Yeah,
BBM.
But Facebook was on the come up, and Twitter and Instagram, also. So because I was an early adopter, I then offered to manage the pages of the Sands. And in doing that, little did I know that every promoter is going to come and have to speak to me to promote the event. Every brand manager that's throwing an activation is going to have to speak to me to throw an event. To promote the work. So there are relationships I built back then that 10 years later still exist. So Tili, who is Casper's manager now, had just signed Casper. And he was also a DJ at the Sands, but he was also an event promoter. So he'd come there like randomly during the week to come and fetch his money from the club. And then he'll have to sit and wait and sit with me. So we just spark up conversations, and then, the relationship was built from there. And at some point when Casper's things were getting better and they were starting to make money, and Casper was, Doc Cheveleza, all of those things were really, really succeeding for him. This fill up the dome thing happens, and they announce it, and I happened to be working for MTV at the time. So I did an 8-month project for them. And when this thing is happening, we're promoting it, we're shouting out, we're supporting the guy. We'd say, who has the audacity to fill up the dome? And then I just asked Tita, I said, "Hey, yo, I want to work for you guys." And they weren't hearing me for like weeks on end whilst I was just pushing them. But I got an opportunity to go to Milan to go and work at the MTV Europe Music Awards under the creative director there, because I worked at MTV. And when I came back, I dropped my bags off at home and I went straight to the dome because I had bought a ticket. But I went there quite early, and on arrival I found Tili. And I said, "Dude, you're going to find me a job here because I've been asking you to work here. So
now I'm here.
And
I have a ticket.
I want to do something."
Okay.
And found Spike because I know the guys know me. And I've worked in eventing before. I come from a performance background. And there was a conversation happening between the stage designer / production manager, Gareth, and Spike, who was Casper's road manager at the time, and Tili, about the quick changes that Casper has to do in between the different sections of the performance. The dancer in me said, I'll help him change.
I can do that.
Because I've done that before.
Okay.
And that's how I got into working for Fill Up the Dome. That I was in charge of getting Casper on and off stage and into different outfits on time. So with that and the trust that was built from there, they called me for Fill Up Orlando. Now I have a bigger responsibility because I'm working with Gareth again, and it is in stage management, making sure all artists are getting on and off the stage on time, working on some of the promotion. So I formed part of the Bridge and Family Tree team. Okay. Then for Fill Up F&B, my muscles were up.
Yeah, now I've done
shots, I've done a whole bunch of things. Homecoming, I built up a real rap sheet of really cool experiences, and Teely, really appreciated that. So okay, now it's time for you to run with the big dogs. Okay. Now we're running the marketing, we're doing the talent operations, the stage management, and the homecoming team. I brought them in to come and help me do some work there. Okay. We ran the intern program, the Fill Up intern search. That was an idea I came up with, and with the Bridge team, and we just actually made it happen. And collectively, it just became this really insane passion project that Fill Up became more than about Casper filling up. It became about all the kids who could be affected by this, and some of them realizing their dreams. There are kids today who've gotten jobs because on their CV they can say they were interns at Fill Up F&B. There are artists who have that on their rap sheets. You would see the first and last time I performed at F&B Stadium was because of Casper. Okay. So that thing just became so big and so such a work of pride and joy for everyone that was involved. So that was a really, really big and pivotal moment in my career, I think. Yeah, Cass and Teely.
Shout out to them.
Game changers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this happens, it's a success, right? Weren't you worried about doing something at F&B? Had you done something on that scale? Because I know, in theory, you're like, okay, I've done this. If I put everything together, I'll be able to. But practically.
I'll tell you this, we were all just a bunch of people that did not know what we were doing. Yeah. Except for Gareth. Yeah. He was the one guy.
Yeah, who knew.
Who really knew the game, because he's put on big productions and all of that. But there was a lady called Sane, incredible, because she worked for stadium management. So she understands the scale of putting on an event in a stadium. There was Nomsa who's worked at the Dome before, and she was able to contribute her experience and her knowledge. Then you've got Teely and Casper who've been to every venue in the country. In the country, literally. And outside of the country as well. So they're bringing in that exposure. Then you've got me who's done things globally and here. And I'm bringing that experience. And then you have a Roberta who's great at negotiating business deals, and she was doing the fundraising. And there were so many other people who were involved and contributing their skills, the ones that they had. And collectively were able to pull off that really, really huge event. And the thing I took the most out of that is just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Build it and they will come. Because a lot of people didn't believe. A lot of people are just like, this one.
It's not going to happen.
Closer to the event day, here the sponsors now trying to come in. Hey, how can we do this? Hey, we were thinking you could. It's like, where were you all this time?
When we've been running around here.
Struggling. When they say how much money Casper lost doing this and how much Teely lost, it's unfathomable how much it costs to put on a production of that magnitude and of that quality. And I think what it showed a lot of South African entertainers is, you've got to actually bet on yourself for other people to bet on you, right? Yes. And without being controversial about things, and I don't want to attribute what other artists did directly to that, but I think there was some kind of inspiration or some kind of proof point. Let's call it a proof point.
Proof of concept.
To say, okay, actually we can do this too. If you look at a Music is King that happened by Black Coffee, if you look at a Cotton Fest by Ricky, if you look at an Orchestra on the Square by AKA, all of these artists were able to say, hey, we've seen it happen before.
We can do it.
We can do it too. And the brands then start to believe as well. So what was achieved with that Fill Up series can really go back to a bunch of people who may not have known exactly what they were doing, but heck, the passion and the belief and the hope that we could do something together and do it well
made it happen.
was there.
Yeah. Okay. So when does the seed of Duma Collective, because it had a name before that,
it did.
Right? When does that seed start germinating in your mind? Like, when does that start growing? Like, because you have this network, you've done all this work in these different silos or industries. When does that light bulb come on in your head where you're like, actually, I need to create an agency to bring all of these things together?
Damn.
And what's going on in your life at that time?
Jeez, so I think I was around 21, and so in all of my freelancing stuff, making money here, making money there, bartending, choreography, there was a company I was doing voiceovers for called Global Access.
Crazy! Yo, the legend of Sibu, guys.
I've done a lot.
He's done a lot.
And I only realize it when I speak about it in this context, because to me it just felt like there were 365 days a year. You use each day to do something. You end up doing a lot. So this Global Access knew that I was studying politics. So I did voiceovers for F&B. I did voiceovers for APSA. I was doing training videos for APSA. Like, you would walk into an APSA and see my face on screen, training you on how to.
Crazy.
APSA. This is, what a time.
Do you have any of those videos?
Someone
online has those videos. Yo, let's pull those videos out. That's crazy.
Why?
I love that.
Hopefully someone doesn't have it. So, they then get a tender. They won a tender to produce a documentary for the Gauteng legislature's 20 years or something like that. And because they knew I just graduated in political science, they needed a researcher. So they were like, hey, would you want to come and work on this project? We need a researcher and you understand politics and actually it's your world. And funny enough, I knew a lot of the people that we were then now interviewing, because I come from that world.
That background.
Fine. Now I'm at Global Access and they are negotiating my contract. And as a freelancer, you get taxed 28%. So I see this and I say, I'm not sure about this.
Not 28.
And this was off of a 90,000 rand check. For the 3 months of work. I'm 20. I'm about to earn 30,000 rand a month.
Okay. Yes.
And they asked me, do I want to get paid monthly? Do I want to get paid weekly? And I said, you know what? They advised that if you were a company, then we wouldn't tax you. You would be responsible for paying your tax.
Yes.
I just heard we wouldn't tax you.
Yes.
I said, say less.
I hope you guys are writing this down.
Don't evade tax, please.
No, not to evade tax, but just understanding the difference between
how tax works.
Yes. That's literally it.
Then I register the company.
Okay.
I get a business bank account. So I'm working whilst all of this happening. So I said to them, no, pay me at the end of the project.
Okay.
Because also I lived at home. I didn't have rent to pay or whatever. The only thing I needed was transport money, but I was getting my transport money from my bartending and my choreography. So I was fine.
You don't need that 90.
I don't need it now.
Okay.
So get my business bank account. Now I've got a business. And it's called Duma Communications because it's Tagazelo Mabena is Duma. So it's so cute to be Mabena and Duma.
Let's go.
Company's registered. I get a website. I do the whole thing, to present myself as a professional organization. Yeah. So Global Access pays me. Project is done. I've got 90,000 rand in my account. And shortly after I finished this project, Jean-Dimitri van Dijk, who worked with us on Miller,
with Kendrick
and all of that, he calls me up and he's like, hey yo, I remember you do some Twitter thuggery stuff. We need marketing for this project we're working on at MTV, because he's now the marketing manager at MTV at that time. Cool. I go in for a meet and greet and a brief and and then he says, cool, you're gonna have to come in as a business, as a company, so that we can onboard you as a supplier to be able to pay you, but we pay in 90 days. So say, oh, okay, it's fine. Value of the project, I think, was about 300K. But in order to do the work, I need to pay things up front. So I said, I've got money.
Yeah.
I'm straight.
That 90, I'm good.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So now spending the 90 for flyers, street sheets, t-shirts, printing that, and then negotiating with other suppliers to say, okay, I'll pay you the rest, you know, on when I get the money. Yeah. So that 90 helped me start the business. And then that 90 turned into 300. Then my next big project, million rand. Say, we up.
Crazy.
We up. I have a company now. This is a company.
And you're working by yourself
at the time.
Yeah, everyone that you're paying, I'm assuming, is like freelance.
It's like other suppliers. I was working with Nkanyezi Kubeka for the Twitter stuff. There was another guy doing the street sheets. I'm the only owner of the company, and it was my money that started the business. So fine. Now there's this million rand invoice, like 1 point something, and I'm working with.
How old are you at this time?
21, and I don't have a car. Give me my taxi. It's fine. It's okay. My time is coming to get the things that I really want.
Are you sorry to pause that? Are you speaking to anyone about how you should be using your money? Do you have financial literacy? How do you know not to blow the money?
We see. At the time, there were like lots of tenders happening. You're hearing about people getting paid, buying cars, not doing the job. So as a person who's woke to how business works, because my dad, my sister, the exposure to that, I knew what to do and what not to do. So in that instance, that money was for the project. It's not mine to spend. Mine that I must spend is then something I'm going to use to fund the next project or to pay myself a little bit of a salary. So it's that consciousness of respect money, especially when it's not yours. I also don't want the embarrassment of now I don't have money to complete the job and then I'm that person.
And we gave Sibu a chance now.
No, because I want more chances. So I'm going to get this job and I'm going to do it really well. And I was partnering with people who also understood that. So Plum Factory and Green Star, who were the guys producing pop bottles, who I worked with when I was at the Sands. Yeah, see the
that's
connections
where the network now.
And now it's being useful in producing a really great marketing campaign for the mamas. We were doing work in Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, like really huge trend campaigns. And that's what set us up for then our next. Now Mbutuma is getting jobs. We were doing a Mayo campaign. Knorr came in with a young retainer. So now
the company is actually it's moving.
And I got one employee, Ellen Shabane, who is like Duma Collective. She hit me up on Facebook, I think it was, and she's like, I see what you're doing and I really want to like get into the space. Can I come? And she was 18 at the time. Can I come work for you? I said, I bet. Meet me in Soweto. We're doing a Mayo activation the next day. Meet me in Soweto, in Fuller Park, whatever. Girl was there before me. I said, she's serious. Okay, we can work. So she became my assistant, but actually Ellen was running everything. She was project manager. She was this, she was that. And Mbutuma continued to just gain strides and build a reputation and really get some cool clients and cool jobs. But at some point I realized that this Mbutuma name is not a brand that will become a household name because it's difficult to say for black people and for white people. They can't spell it, they can't say it, so something's gonna have to happen. And that's the seed that was planted because one of our clients couldn't say the name, so he said Sibu and her team. And I was just like, damn it. You literally said every other agency's name except for mine. So that's a problem. And it was a black client. And others were calling him Mabuduma. Like, hey, Mbutuma, come on. And I couldn't blame them. So I just decided to change it. And somewhere I heard that Duma in Russian means something. I was like, Duma, okay. Then I looked it up. It's like, no, Duma, Zulu, famous. Duma, it is Zulu, yeah, Duma. Okay, loud. Famous, loud, Duma. Hi man, we make brands famous.
We might as well.
Stepped on collectors, Duma Collective.
And then it just rolled off the tongue.
It just rolled off, and that's how Duma Collective came up. And we registered it in 2017 and flipped all our clients from Duma to Duma Collective, the staff from Duma to Duma Collective, and then that's how we just started taking it one day at a time and building the Duma Collective brand.
Okay.
What a long story. I'm so sorry.
I love it. I love it. I hope you guys are writing all of these things down. But now, okay, so the company's registered, you guys have clients. When do you start scaling up? Because that's something that a lot of business owners, they can't actually put their finger on when's the right moment for me to scale my business up.
Yeah.
When was that moment for you and Duma Collective?
It happened. It happened without us being conscious of it, or it wasn't like planned to the T. In fact, I didn't even have a business plan until I was asked to submit one for a business development program I was put through. But as the work came in, so did the demand for permanent people. Because it became very expensive to work with freelancers all the time. Yeah. Also, as the opportunities to pitch for work came in, so that did the demand for permanent people. So where Ellen was the first, then we had Siwe, then Tube joined, then Kutlano joined, and then Kensane joined, and then Siwe left, and then Tube left, and then we needed to replace them, and then once you replace them, then you need, now you offer PR services. Now we need a PR specialist. Levi, come on. Okay, now you're doing that. Now we offer social media management. So now we need social media management. Second, so come help us. Oh, now we offer graphic design. Oh no, graphic design come in. So it just gradually happened as the demand grew.
Okay.
And then at some point there were 7 of us just before COVID. And that switch that flipped when lockdown happened was Lockdown House Party. Okay. And Lockdown House Party, we put together a production of PH and Shimza and the team, everyone that was working. And it opened up our world to sponsorships because we facilitated sponsorships. It opened our world to the world of DSTV and how content production works and working with Channel O and the DSTV media sales team, etc. So now you're in the space where it's like, whoa, there's so much opportunity outside of this little influencer and social media thing that I know of and this talent management thing, right? So with that, agencies were closing down. Agencies that do brand strategy, that do multimedia design, that do all of these big traditional things. And as they closed, we were open. So it's like, what? What? Multimedia design? We do it.
Yeah.
Just do this thing quickly.
I love that.
And brand strategy. Oh, what? Listen, come help us with this role. So then the freelancers start to find a place where they're like, oh man, we could actually just do something cool here. We could settle here. And that's how the team started growing. So in 2020, I think we went from 7 people to 15, 16 real quick. Could be in the 20s number actually, because at some point we were coming to work in shifts because there just wasn't enough space in the office. And then we got onto the Multi-Choice Innovation Fund as a beneficiary there. A really great program. I can't sing their praises enough because what they opened up was pipeline to work in the ecosystem of Multi-Choice. Okay. And with that, we needed to really capacitate the business real quick because the work became quite hectic. Yeah, it was a lot. And the next year there were 30 people and 40 and 49. So we grew as the work came in. And I was very measured about being able to afford people's salaries. So my finance approach to hiring people was always, will I be able to pay this person for at least 3 months if work doesn't come in at all? And that's how I made my offers to people. I will say to them, you probably deserve more, but here's what I have. Okay. Here's what I'm able to sustain. I don't want to bring you in and pay you some copious amount that I probably won't afford in 2-3 months time. So let's grow together. And now, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we went through an exercise where we said, let's actually see if we are are compliant to industry standards. And we've worked very hard to do that, to the point where now we're able to pay bonuses, we're able to do annual increases because we've been very responsible in how we have approached salaries.
Yeah.
And before that, before I employed an MD who at some point was earning more than me in the business because I really needed her to help me grow the business and convert it into an agency that's actually functional and properly operational. I was just the ninja. I said, oh, we've got money. Cool. Bonus is December.
Let's go.
We're working at a loss every year and I didn't mind as long as my bills were paid. It was fine that the company was a loss-making company. But now we're profitable because we've put in processes. We put in proper strategies. To
systems.
Oh, it's a business now.
Yes.
We go on strat weeks to say, hey, what are we actually doing this year? What are our targets? How are we incentivizing performance? All of those real business things. And I just had to acknowledge and accept that as a creative who decided to go into business, I now have to be serious about the business of creativity.
So how did you as a founder, right? Because a lot of founders fall into the trap of wanting to be the CEO, right? How did you not fall into that trap? I mean, we all know the famous story of Steve Jobs when he started Apple, and then they eventually got someone to come in to be the CEO, and then he left. How did you not fall into the trap of wanting to hold this thing, be the CEO, be the head person in charge? Because a lot of founders fall into that trap. They want to be, I started this thing, you weren't there when we were broke. How did you not fall into that trap?
I don't know. I think because, like I say, I'm a creative that happened to run a business. Right? Okay. So I want to do the cool stuff. I want to do the fun stuff. I want to come up with the ideas. I want to be on the ground. I want to be executing. I want to be running the trend campaigns, talking to the influencers. That's the stuff I want to do. But there's all this other stuff that comes with running a business that requires you to make business decisions like financial management.
And not creative decisions.
Compliance. I can't be creative about compliance. You must pay your taxes.
I get that.
So
I get that.
I had to bring someone in who had the ambition of being the business person, but comes from an agency background of delivering creative work, right? So Sis Lindy is such an incredible part of my story because before her, we were a smuggle shop of creativity. Now we're an agency. Now, Mark Lives knows about us, okay? They know our name. Dubai Links, Festival of Creativity, they know Duma Collective because we have been pruned into a proper functional agency that works like the best of the best in the world. And she comes from having 20 years of experience doing this. She's worked at Metropolitan Republic, Jupiter Drawing Room. She's even worked on the client side with an Edgar's. She's done Y&R and now into VML and then Duma Collective. And that's actually where I met her when she was at Y&R because we were agency partners on the Amstel account. And my Amstel client at the time, I said to her, what do you think of me hiring Sis Lindy to come and run Duma Collective? And she's like, dude, that would be an absolutely incredible idea. My challenge at the time was financially, would I be able to afford her what a person of that caliber and stature deserves? She had a child in varsity, 2 kids, one in high school, one in primary school. And those are real human being responsibilities, right? Yeah. Here I am, I just had my car, my apartment. Yeah. I don't have a cat, I don't have a dog.
I'm moving.
So I just said, if my vision to get us to where we need to go to is dependent on having someone like a Sis Lindy, I'm gonna have to do whatever it takes. And I cut my salary to afford hers. And I was fine with that. I did not that she's getting paid more than me because there'll come a day where I get paid what I deserve because Sis Lindy's contribution would build Duma Collective to that level. So in the past 2.5 years, 3 years now, I think. She's really, really, really changed the game for how the agency went from being a spaza shop to what it is today. Secondly, I got an advisory board. And my advisory board is made up of an M&A specialist and a CA. And these two guys, my God, life changers, where they were able to advise me into going from spaza shop to agency to a business to something that can be looked at one day as a possible venture for acquisition, a possible venture for investment. It's a business.
Yes.
And I went to them and I said, guys, please help me, because this is what I know how to do, but I know I don't know this other side of things. And mine was to listen to them. Yeah. Granted, I know the business, I know what product we offer, but their advice has been so valuable in me making decisions that have gotten us to where we are today. In fact, they even recruited our finance manager, who has cleaned up everything. We now have proper checks and balances, we have systems, we know there's no influencer out there that can say we haven't paid them. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. Even we can work with 200 people in a month. Yeah. Okay, sure. Those people are getting paid. I know our suppliers are getting paid. I know our salaries are paid on time. I know our tax is covered. SARS, when our income tax, when our VAT, when our PAYE, it's there. Our financial statements are in order. Our balance sheet is in order. Everything that makes a business is in order, because I just said, I don't know, help me, and I listened.
Okay. I know there are people out there who are watching this who would kill to work at Duma Collective. What are some of the intangible things you look for when you're employing people? The tangible things are obviously your degree, can you actually do the job? But what are the intangible things that you look for that make great employees for Duma Collective?
Are you a nice person?
Okay.
Let's just be nice people. Because in our world, shit gets real. Yeah. It gets hard, it gets tough, it gets irritating. And if you have assholes in the business, then now the office is just sucky. It
messes up that system.
It's not nice.
Oh,
you're a nice person.
Okay.
What is your approach to conflict management? Do you tackle things now? Are you passive aggressive? Do you want to let things fester? What number are you of your siblings? Are you a firstborn? Are you a middle child? Are you a lastborn?
Lastborn, okay.
Because there are characteristics that come with those experiences in life.
That's true.
As a firstborn, you tend to be more of a leader. Yeah. As a middle child, you tend to be someone who wants to please everybody. You push and pull on both sides. As a lastborn, sometimes you can be entitled, but depending on your life experience, you could be the one who has to cover for everyone else and really overcompensate for wherever there were deficiencies or whatever. So I ask Uwuti, what's your role in your family where you have no choice but to be there? I'll ask what, in a group setting, like group work at school, what role do you play? Were you the cheerleader? Were you the brilliant asshole, like the brilliant jerk?
Funny person?
Are you the class clown, always just making everybody laugh? Are you the coordinator, the strict one? It's like, oh guys, okay, fine, if you're not going to do it, then I'll do it myself. Which role did you play? And every role has its benefits, right? And every role has its negatives. So that matters to me. It's what do you do in your personal life to fill your cup? Like, what's your thing? Do you go out? Do you stay in? Do you read a book? Do you watch movies? Like,
what's your thing?
What keeps the juices flowing? Those are the kind of questions we ask in interviews where, okay, HR will deal with the things,
the tangible things. That's good.
And then we also ask people to do assignments because people lie. And they want people.
Yeah, they will lie. Yeah.
Then we do background checks as well. to call where you said you worked, and we don't call it the cell phone number you put there. We call it the
landline direct.
We send emails and we do reference checks because people lie. So we hope that by the time a person gets into the business, they're as honest as possible, because everything they've said that they are, or everything they presented themselves to be, is true. Of course, we've been duped before. Yeah. Of course, we had people steal from us. Of course, we've had people lie. Of course, we've had people take clients even after they've left the building. And mine is to just charge it to the game. Yeah. I can't control God's people.
It goes like that.
It's not for me to punish them. It's not for me to spend my time trying to, block their blessings or stand there. How could you do that? No, that's not the thing I'm here to do on earth. Mine is to build an oasis for African creativity to flourish. That's what I'm here to do. And I look at the bigger picture and I try to find people who are going to form part of that machine that's going to lay perfect bricks to build the perfect wall. Do we get it right all the time? No. But at least we try.
Okay. Damn, this has been so informative.
Thanks.
And inspirational. I want to switch gears and ask you about dreams and how dreams evolve, right? Yeah. You had the dream, obviously, as a young girl to dance. You got in the door. That evolved to you moving to behind the scenes, which evolved to you working at events, which then evolved finally to you starting this agency, right? And your dream has just been evolving. Now, as you sit, what's a new dream Sibu has today that she didn't have 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago? What's a new dream that you have today that you didn't have?
I don't know. Because all of these things have been very unplanned. Yeah. The entire mission has always to just be influential. I've always just wanted to be in spaces that I love and be useful. Yeah. Right? That was the vision. And that's how we approach everything that we do. It's just to be useful to the person that's asking us to come and help them do something. Now, I think it's my thought process, because I've been traveling and doing work outside the country and then coming back in. I'm just like, I'm seeing all of this, and how do we apply this to here, and kind of stabilizing things, because we experienced a lot of change last year. I mean, we moved into a building, and then
on Republic
Road. It's cute. It's the dark blue on the Monopoly board. You know.
Oh no, we remember that road. I was taxing people off that road. I remember it. Every time I drive on the Republic, I'm just like, yo, Sibu actually has the Monopoly house, the hotel. She's got it on Republic. That's dope.
It's like it wasn't planned. Yeah. Do you hear me? The plan was to get a house, flip the house into an office space. So that we can have Mambara Fridays and whoever is the loser of the week comes into the pool. Silly things like that. That's the kind of thing. And
I get that.
God had a different plan and said, hey, yo, your dream is too small.
Too small.
Boom, 20 Republic Road, now we're there. And then he said, hey, I'm not done. We've got the building next door, 51 Main. Okay. And that was gifted to us by a client. It's in our name. We have a title deed, 51 Main. And that just said to me, dude, just stay the course, do what you're called to do, let God do the dreaming. Because it's what he went now. Oh no, I want. Hey, in my wall. So I'm done dreaming. I'm just staying the course, honoring my commitment to what God has called me to do, and
staying
not
open
embarrassing my ancestors, because
Yeah.
now also I flop and then zoting fuzeban in my set of roses. So it really is to make sure I continue to make my family proud. I continue to make the families of the people who work with us proud, because even they must be proud that their children work at Duma Collective. You know, as someone's mother, they must be able to say, you know, mtanam sebenza Duma. Here's the Duma Collective. Yeah, mtanam sebenza khona. Because that's how they feel about a child working at a multi-choice or Edgar's.
F&B.
F&B.
Yes.
They must feel like that about Duma Collective.
I get that.
So the dream is to stabilize and just do better and do more for more. God can do the dreaming.
Okay. 2024, South Africa. Super important year. Actually, it's a super important year for, I believe there are 57 or 58 countries around the world that are having national elections. So it's actually a year of change.
Yeah.
What's
we hope.
Yeah, we hope. No more lead shedding, no more corruption, please. We're tired. But what's your perspective on voting? A lot of young people, a lot of our audience don't believe their vote matters, don't believe that they should even go out there and vote on the 29th of May. What's your perspective on your vote? Obviously, you don't have to share with us who you're going to vote for. Not ANC, hopefully. But what's your perspective on the country? How important do you think voting is?
I believe a lot of young people are actually more conscious now.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive to see the conversations, albeit some of them really dizzy. But the point is that they're talking. The point is that there's a consciousness around the fact that, this thing called voting actually matters because it drives some kind of change. And my very unpopular opinion right now is I'm not 100% confident in the options that we have right now for them to replace the ruling party today. Okay? I do believe if the options we have right now were to spend the next 5 years getting ready to take over government, because what they've unfortunately done is get ready to take out the current government.
Yes.
But they haven't geared up to get in.
And run the country.
That's my biggest worry. That right now we can say what we want about the current ruling government. Unfortunately for us, you remove them and you leave a gap to be filled. And do we have the luxury of chance, or taking a chance with the people who are our options right now? I do believe that we should give them a chance or a seat at the table. And that's where our votes really, really matter, is in getting people in to experience or to gain that experience. But at the same time, they've got to be building their plan and building capacity to take over. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't have a magic ball that I'm looking through to see what's going to happen if we keep ANC in or what's going to happen if we take them out. I'm just not confident right now that this is the time that the current government can go, because I don't know who will replace them and improve things immediately now.
I get that.
It's a very
it is a very
controversial
and very layered conversation to have. Okay.
And it's in no way to influence
anyone out there.
And also because my history is that of my blood being
tied to
green, black and gold.
Right.
I was educated as a result of the ANC's policies. I got to get a bursary to go to varsity because of the ANC. My mom had a job for a while because of the ANC. My father was an MK because he believed in the ANC. They did some really horrible things to him. You know, our experience as a family isn't that of other politically inclined families. Ours is one of disappointment. Ours is one of hurt. Ours is one of a lot of really horrible things happening. But that didn't deter my dad from still saying, as for me and my house, we will vote for the ANC.
Voting for the
My
ANC.
mom working diligently and fervently for an ANC-led government all the way up to her retirement. And it's in recent years that my father has just been so pained by the results of the people having so much power and them abusing it so much. So my own personal experience has been that as a born free, I shouldn't be, or I know of a community, of a society that was running a certain way, where there was always clean water, there was always clean hospitals, there was always potholes being filled, there was always a secure environment, to a time where
It's flipped.
all of that is gone.
It's flipped.
There are kids who only know this.
Literally, this.
Then
version.
there are people who existed before my time.
Yeah.
And they know a time when the ANC came and completely changed their lives,
Yeah.
right? So there are many people who've had many different experiences. And it is so unfortunate that I can't confidently say ANC is where it's at.
I get that.
Simply because of what I've seen happen to people close to me, and then what I've experienced as far as my environment is concerned, and then what I'm anticipating to be a very tough next 5 years.
That's fair. That's honestly fair. And it's a very layered and nuanced conversation, but I just feel like we should all be having these conversations openly and poking ideas through different theories.
Yeah.
So we can get to the best theory.
Especially because, there's so much good that they've been able to do.
Yeah.
So many schools have been built.
Yeah.
So many infrastructure developments have taken place.
Opportunities.
So many opportunities have been created. There hasn't been a time where there are more black wealthy people than now. Equally, there are so many bad things that have happened.
Yeah.
And so many things that haven't happened at the cost of the lives of South African people. We live in this toxic relationship with our governing party that, guys, you cannot say, but look at all that we've done when we're calling you out on all the things that you're doing horribly wrong. Yeah. So it's a tough one. And I don't know. I think we're going to be, when we get to the polls, let us at least have read the policies or the manifestos of each of these parties. Let us be able to vote on some kind of information that we've gathered and a prayer.
Amen to that. Amen to that. As we close up the conversation, what's your last piece of advice to people out there, maybe a young boy, a young girl, maybe a young boy who's a dancer right now, or who's bartending right now, or just what's your last piece of advice for the dreamers out there to go out there and make their dreams come true?
Do it your own way. There was a time when I was being called a Jill of all trades, master of none. And I was being told, you're doing too many things. You need to be known for something. And I've been doing this for, call it 16 years now. I've been getting paid from doing many different things.
Yeah.
And that's been my own way. And a lot of the people who were telling me this are in their own lanes doing their own thing. So imagine I had listened to them. Where would a Duma Collective be today?
True, it wouldn't exist.
So it is for you to do it your own way. You can get inspired by anyone. You can learn from anyone. You can take a page out of someone's book, but don't think you can do it like someone else and get the same result. So you may as well do it your own way.
I get that. Damn, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming and chopping it down with us. It's been really inspirational, educational, motivational.
All the Asianals.
All the Asianals. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Our analytics are saying that 75% of the people that are watching our episodes haven't subscribed. Guys, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back from your boy Ini. We'll be back with another special episode of Dead Radio.
And you're live on Dead Radio.